Hello again. I am back to complete my series, 5 Things About the Shadow. This is thing number 5. And thing number 5 is your shadow is you. Your shadow is you. Your shadow is a significant part of you. And as such, it longs to be included in your lived experience. Therefore, it will never, ever, ever stop trying to get your attention because your soul longs to be complete. Your soul longs for wholeness, and your shadow is an innate part of you that is calling out toward you like, hello, here I am. I'm the key to that wholeness and that sense of completion that you feel stirring inside of you. And because you're not paying attention to me, because you won't give me the time of day, I might have to make your life hell to get your attention. If you've been following this series, you know that I am specifically focusing on the repressed and rejected parts of yourself. The parts that were rejected when you were a toddler, a small child, maybe a very vulnerable teenager, or even a young adult. The things that other people made you feel were unacceptable, and the things that would stand in the way of you getting your needs met and feeling safe and secure and just being able to survive in this world. Inequality that you were born with that is expressed in your formative years and met with abuse, neglect, shaming, mockery, that gets pushed down into the shadows so that you can feel safe and secure and survive in your family unit or in your church or your school or culture at large. And it's effective. We do it because it works. It works. It keeps us safe. It keeps us secure when we are young. But then when we get older, we find that we start having these inexplicable patterns of behavior and problems that we can't seem to solve with our conscious, deliberate mind. Like, as much as we strategize, as much as we plan, there is this part of us, this really strong part of us that seems to come along and screw up our best laid plans. It sabotages. It's a self-sabotaging energy, or it finds us in the same relationship patterns again and again and again, toxic relationship patterns, frustrating relationship patterns, not just in our romantic relationships, but in our friendships, in the workplace. And we can't figure it out. We think if I leave this person, I will be free of this dynamic, only to find that dynamic pop up again at work or in our family unit, which is likely where it originated, which is why going home for the holidays can be so stressful, because the dynamic that created this painful shadow for you, this self-rejection, it's on full display when you go back to see your family oftentimes. And so it can be very confrontational. And then the other way that the shadow can confront you is kind of when you least expect it. So I'm going to use an example from my own life that is extremely common, and that is being a nice person. If your identity is one of being a nice person, you might have something like the bitch or the jerk or the asshole in your shadow. The worst thing somebody could call you is a bitch, because you identify as a nice person. And when you identify as a nice person, what happens is people who find their sense of safety and security by taking more than they're entitled to, they find you and they take advantage of your niceness, and they start to treat you like a doormat. And so you, being the nice person, you make excuses for them, and you put up with it, and you put up with it, and you put up with it. You might start to get uncomfortable. You might start to talk to your friends about it, like, can you believe they're doing this to me? But ultimately you end up putting up with it for a very long time, until one day, after they lie and lie and lie, or push and push and push, or take and take and take, whatever the case may be, one day they lie or take or push one time too many, and what happens is the bitch pops out and makes a sudden, terrifying, burn it all down appearance, everybody's freaked out, including you, including the person that you are offloading on, because they thought you had some kind of social contract going. You're the nice one. They're the one that takes too much. Why all of a sudden are you changing it up? And why are you yelling? You've just had enough. So it comes out in an inappropriate, over-the-top way. And then, this is the worst part, that creates shame, more shame, shame on shame. So it's painful leading up to the outburst, and then it's really painful after the outburst when you are humiliated. You're worried who saw that happen. You're worried that it ruined your reputation. You're worried maybe even that you're out of control. What is wrong with you? So you try to push it back down, but it won't stay down. It will for a time, but the way that Debbie Ford, who I originally learned shadow work from, she described it as like holding down a beach ball underwater. And it's like, you can do that for a while. And at first it seems like it's no big deal, but it actually ends up costing you a lot of psychic energy. It takes a lot of energy to hold it down. And so under stressful circumstances, or when you've just been holding it down for way too long, it's like all of a sudden the ball like bounces back up and smacks you in the head. And it tends to happen at the most inopportune times. So what you can do with that, whatever the shadow quality is, I'm just using the bitch as an example, but this is true of any shadow quality. You have to find a way to include it as a healthy, regular part of your experience. And that is integration. That is shadow integration. It's saying, okay, I have this bitch hiding out in my shadow. What does this bitchy part of me want? What is it good for? What can it do? And what you end up finding is that the bitch archetype is amazing for setting and maintaining healthy boundaries and standing up for yourself in the moment, when the moment calls for it, instead of making excuses for other people or putting up with their nonsense. And you still get to be not a nice person, because nice is being very pleasing. It's making other people comfortable, often at your own expense, but a kind person. Kindness is deeper than nice. And you learn, I can be a kind person and I can be kind to myself. And I have this bitchy energy that I can call on and employ anytime I need to set a healthy boundary. And then you never have an outburst like that again. It's difficult when you first learn to incorporate a shadow complex like that into your life because it's new. You haven't done it before. It's brand new. And so it can be a little bit awkward at first. And so maybe you kind of are a little too bitchy at first when you're first trying to exercise this right. But I would encourage you to hang with it and to allow this energy to have a piece in your life. It is you. It is you. This shadow is you. It wants to be included, and it will fall into place naturally if you allow it to be and if you give it expression. So if you're looking at a shadow, you've identified, I have this specific shadow, but I don't know how to give it healthy expression in my life. Something that I'm a big fan of is journal keeping or morning pages. I do both. I always have a composition book around so that I can, in the moment, express my shadow that wants to come through so I don't end up messing up my relationships or putting weird things on social media. I just put it in my notebook and I speak as my shadow. I give my shadow expression. You might not even know where it began, what it wants, what it actually is. So journaling can help you figure that out and get you to the point where you can understand how to incorporate it in a more healthy way. Other things you can do are paint, dance, sing. Anything creative can help you get in touch with that energy and give it a place to be, give it expression. Speaking as a formerly nice person, I was in a punk rock band and I wrote all the songs and they were very angry, screaming, kicking the air kind of songs, and I literally was kicking the air when we were performing and screaming like red-faced and pointing. And the songs I wrote were about the government or people who had done me wrong. One song I wrote was from the point of view of a predator who had perpetrated a crime on me. I was just exploring this like angry, furious, dark energy that had been repressed in me. I was giving it expression, and it was so cathartic for me. And I like to think it was cathartic for the people in the audience who are there enjoying the performance. It was an outlet. And it allowed me to come into greater wholeness, even though I seem like this very friendly, blonde, nice person. I was up on stage being like, get the fuck out. I wrote a song called Get the Fuck Out, and I meant it. And it felt good to say it out loud. So I hope this made sense to you. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you have a shadow you're thinking about, like, does this want expression? Feel free to ask me about it. I'll see if I can help you with that. And if you've enjoyed this series and you want to continue the conversation, I have a 6-part audio journey called Shadow Love, Return to the Seat of Your Soul. And it is all about using shadow work as a method to achieving greater wholeness and a greater sense of self-love. So follow the links wherever they are around here so you can check that out. It's either going to be in my link in the bio or in the description, depending on what platform you're watching this on. And until we meet again, much love to you. Peace.